Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wild Reawakening Full Moon in Capricorn Circle. We are so excited that you are joining us for this event. This is a really special time that we like to come together and utilize this time to work with the energy of the moon to align and flow and utilize it for our best and highest good. This is also a wonderful opportunity to come together as a collective group so that we can kind of have others witness us as we do this work, to kind of journey further into ourselves and our connection with spirit. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amy. I'm an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader. I started my journey approximately 20 years ago when I just started getting curious about what my own spirituality looked like and how I wanted to connect with spirit. And it's just been an ongoing evolution. And I'm so honored that I can now kind of come forward and share what I've learned and incorporate it into the work that we do here. So I'm going to introduce you to my co-host Kendall that we have with us. And we also have Melissa joining us today. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kendall Shawhan. I am with Wild Reawakening as well as my business, which is the Bohemian Tarot Girl. I use tarot to connect to your higher self and really, build a way for you to access your intuition using tarot. So that's what I focus on. And just part of that work has gotten me connected with Amy and bringing in these moon circles. So it's great to be, here and working with you and working through this energy together. I'm going to throw it over to Melissa. Melissa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Kendall. Hi, I'm Melissa Knight. I am a master certified coach through the International Coach Federation. I do a lot of work with individuals diagnosed with ADHD, with time management, prioritizing, goal setting, transitioning into college. And I'm also a certified health and wellness coach as well, working with individuals to support them in nutritional goals, fitness goals, spirituality, and then that leads into the lunar coaching I'm doing for those who are really feel the energy of the moon, where we focus monthly goals on the new moon. And I had the pleasure of meeting Kendall a year ago, a while ago, that got me introduced to this moon circle and to Amy, and it's just really been a wonderful connection in my spiritual journey, being able to participate with your circle, and the journals I think are just amazing.
Oh, thank you. We love having you here with us.
Yeah. So if you have not already had a chance, you can go on to wildreawakening.com. You can download the free moon journal that accompanies this circle. You can either come back and watch this as a recording, or you can download that journal and do it in your own time afterwards. It does go hand in hand with this. It's a great resource, especially if you want to keep track of your progress and have something that you can look back on in a few months and see how the energy that and the things that we are working on here now affect you in the months to come. It's always great to go back and look and have that kind of reflection, and watch your progress. It's been a huge part of my own journey, and I'm excited to get started with our circle today. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and create an intentional space. There are many ways that you can do this. You can utilize sound, bells. You can just kind of go in and reflect internally that you're going to be creating a space for yourself. You can use a spray, a sage spray, or aromatherapy. You can light a candle. If you have sage, you can light your sage and just kind of do a little cleansing of your space and yourself. And the purpose of this is just to kind of commune with the universe and with spirit, that you're going to be entering a sacred space where you can kind of co-create and really have an intentional atmosphere to do some work in during this time. The other thing that we do when we open a circle together is I like to like have a little saying, and that just is for my own benefit and hopefully for your benefit, just to kind of signal that we are getting ready to do work. And that saying is sky above, earth below, peace within. We say that 3 times. And at the end, we say peace within 2 more times for a total of 3. So if you'd like to join with me now, we can go ahead and get started on that. So, sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within, peace within, peace within. Welcome, everybody. So we are here for the full moon in Capricorn, and that is happening on July 3rd, 2023 at 4:38 a.m. Pacific time. So go ahead and adjust the time accordingly to wherever you are in the world. Full moons happen when the sun and the moon are in opposition to each other. So we have our sun in Cancer and we have our moon in Capricorn. And this is a really beautiful energy that's coming in that will help us to kind of take our inner selves and our inner landscape and bring it forward into a more realistic and external reality. Capricorn is an earth sign. It has a lot of grounding properties to it. It wants to build, it wants to bring things into a more concrete and solid position. And so this moon is just a really beautiful energy for really laying some groundwork and a solid foundation for the direction that you're building in. But not only just to build, but to also create something that feels good for you, because we have the aspect of Cancer as well that is coming into play during this time, that is all about intuition and emotion and your feminine side. And so we have this merging of the feminine in Cancer and the masculine in Capricorn. And it's really asking us to come and create balance between these two worlds so that we can build something that feels good on all aspects. So we're going to get a little bit more into the astrology of this. And I'm going to turn it over to Kendall so we can look at what other planetary aspects are really kind of affecting the energy at this time.
All right, let me share my screen here. And this is the chart looking at the full moon in Capricorn. Amy mentioned that with this, with this energy, it is in opposition to that sun in Cancer. And so we do have the energy, the earth energy in opposition, counterbalancing that Cancer, that really intuitive energy that it brings in. And that's that connection to your higher source. It's a little bit more of that soul connection versus that physical plane that we live on. With this energy, it is, the moon is opposite Mercury, and Mercury is here, and it can kind of mess up your feelings. It can kind of hide them from you. It can give confusion in your life and really make it a little bit difficult to share your feelings. The great part about this full moon, though, is because of the other alignments, and it really opens up this moon. It's a super moon. It's bringing in that extra energy that we have. And so with that, with Mercury in Cancer, it's really aligning to this fixed star that we call Sirius, and it's at 14 degrees of Cancer as well. And this energy is that Jupiter Mars energy, and it's all about bringing us, wealth and gratitude and this wonderful, auspicious really gifts that we could get. And with that too, we also have the moon trining Jupiter, and that's going to bring us all this good luck. So although this moon, could have provided a little bit of confusion in your life, and you might be walking into something where, and remember, we're looking at both sides of the coin, right? We're looking at the physical world as well as our subconscious world, our connection to our higher self. And so we really have to find the balance within. And that's really where we're being asked to reevaluate. With full moons, we're being asked to look at some things, let things go that are holding us back, and a lot of that relates to our feelings connecting to the physical world. So it might be our feelings connecting to our family, where we live, our business, a lot of times is very Capricorn energy, right? So your career, business, all those materialistic things that we think about in our lives, and then connecting that with the feelings that we have. And it's really important, I think, to really understand how it is affecting the balance within our life. And I feel like that is the key to what is going on right now with this moon. And it's really allowing us this opportunity to let things go, but then also realign ourselves and put some things into action that we wouldn't normally do during a full moon, but we want to get what I would say, our ducks in a row in order to be ready for this new moon that we have coming up. And this new moon is going to be in Cancer. And I feel like this is an opportunity for us to get a little bit ahead. And we're going to use the luck and the energy that we have here. If you want to learn more about the energy of the full moon, Amy and I always do a moon forecast video. So I would totally check that out if you want to dive in deeper to the energy.
Yeah, we went really deep with this last one because there was so much happening and so much going on. So it's a really great resource if you're interested in the astrology and how it can personally affect you. So, all right, are we ready to do some card pulls?
Yes. Let me just myself so you guys can see the cards better when I hold them up. Sorry, I'm the one controlling the screen, so it's always a little bit difficult in myself. All right, I am going to pull 3 cards, and I just want you to go ahead and have a second here and really figure out which number, 1, 2, or 3, resonates with you as I pull the cards. And just go ahead and keep that with you.
Which deck are you using this time?
I am using the Sacred Rebels Oracle.
I love that one.
I know, it's one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah.
So let's look at the cards that we have. We have card 29, Seeing the True You. That's a beautiful one there. Let me see if I can get a quick message. And I'll post the full meanings behind the cards. I'll pass it along to Amy and she can post it on the group in Facebook. So just remember that if you're watching this through our website, to join the Facebook group, and there's a lot of the links there. Also, if you're on Facebook accessing this, you can download the workbook that we have, all those things here. And so just make sure that you're staying connected and using all the pieces that we have available for you. So this card here is Seeing the True You. And it's a message of sometimes we believe that others tell us who we are. And it's really making sure that we are reflecting on the truth of ourselves. And so it's calling you to really see the truth in who you are, which I love. And I won't read the full message here, but like I said, I will post it. The second card here is 39, Free from Judgment, Free to Love. And I love that. Free from judgment, free to love. And I definitely feel like that card is a message of, letting yourself go, letting yourself understand that how you are and who you are is you're good enough for yourself, right? You don't need to let others judge you. You need to be who you are and really let that go. And I do think that is an important message as we come into this moon that really connects with me, that a lot of times we hold back in who we are and where we want to go, and connecting to those feelings and really making sure that we move through that energy and we really come into who we want to be is so important. And then the last card here is card 18, Spirals of Manifestation. And so it looks like it's all about that manifestation work that we need to do in order to bring back what we love. And I love the message. It says, creative, rebellious path of love moves in spirals. It's not linear. And so it's important that as we move forward, that we're not thinking about it in a linear fashion, that we're moving forward and allowing the universe really to guide the path that we're walking on, and the ever-changing one that we have. So just know that with this card, that there is beauty in letting the universe help guide where you go, and that we don't need to think about such a straightforward way, that there's only one way, there's many ways, and we'll be directed in the path that we need to go. All right. Like I said, I'll post the full message for you. What cards did you guys pick? I always love knowing that.
Oh, I picked number one, which I thought was fitting for now, which is it's usually I'll pick number three because I love the number three. Which is funny because we did talk about the manifestation and how we like let things kind of go the way that they're meant to go when we did our energy forecast for this moon. So I thought that was interesting that that came up as well. Um, but number one for me just seems really fitting right now because I'm going through some things in my personal life, and I think it's really a good message for me right now just to remember like who I am and not necessarily like the projections that are being thrown my direction of how people want to perceive me or the role that they want to put me in their current situation as well. So I know that may seem kind of vague, but
No.
it's good to like really like hold your ground and come from a place of authenticity when you're dealing with a lot of high intensity situations around you with other people.
For sure. Yes. A lot of times people do project on what they want onto you and have expectations of you that are not in a line with who you really are and what is good for you. And so being aware of that is super important. How about you, Melissa?
I picked number one also. I know. Before that though, I really like that message of how important it is to remain our authentic self with high energies. Right. I think that's what gets us through those situations is if that's how we become grounded. I'm going to remember that. I like that a lot. Sorry, that's just sort of like, wow, that's very powerful. Love it. But for me, what really resonated when you pulled that true self, I was just like, or true you, I was like, oh, I feel like for the past few years, I've been very fragmented. And not necessarily in a bad way, but there have been just different facets of myself that weren't connecting yet. And I feel like the past few months, everything is really beginning to synthesize together. So my true self is beginning to formulate. The facets are fitting together, and I'm finding ways to make it not an either or, but here we are all combined. It sounds like multiple personalities in that, but that's just between my 9-to-5 job and then also coaching there, but my other coaching and how it's evolving and the spiritual journey, they're just all interconnected at this point. And it's really, it's a good feeling. It's just a good feeling for moving forward.
No, I love
Yeah,
that.
I love
Definitely having that connection, I think, is where a lot of us achieve to be. And so that's awesome that that's the steps and movement that you have been on, because I feel like that's the most important part. We have a tendency, and I think this moon is really looking at that piece, is we have a tendency to focus on one or the other, right? Job takes over, family life takes over, and then we lack in spiritual, or we have all the time in spiritual and we're not focusing on the other pieces. And that's the hard part. And that's what this energy of this moon is really asking us to evaluate and really look at in our lives.
Did you pick one?
I did not. I don't usually pick them when I'm doing it. So
Yeah. And I know like when we've done circles before, a lot of times everybody will have their individual card, but then it's really like they all kind of come together and kind of create this group reading because everything kind of will all apply to all of us in some aspect. And I really love that we have this like communal reading to focus on for the entire group. So If you felt like the card that you picked didn't necessarily resonate, it's okay. There's, two other cards that are part of the puzzle that will all come together for you.
For
So,
sure. And I will do a full tarot reading for the energy of the full moon. So look for that. That'll be in a separate video. And we'll dive a little bit more deeper into the messages.
so full moons are typically a time when the moon is at its brightest, and then it's going to be um, waning, which means that it's going to be getting smaller until we reach the new moon. And that in itself is a cycle. It typically takes 2 weeks to go from full to new. And during that time, as it gets smaller, it is the energy of releasing and letting go. And so when we work with the full moon energy, we're usually looking at the aspects of our lives that maybe we've outgrown or that are no longer serving us, or limiting beliefs that we've been holding on to, and we kind of focus on that so that we're not carrying those pieces that are no longer serving us into the next cycle, which will be when the moon is waxing from new into full, and that's the energy of like bringing things in and building and creating. And so this moon is a little bit different. We've talked about that once again in the moon energy forecast, so please listen to that. But this also has this building block energy and this creation energy to it. And so I thought that we would do a guided meditation, and you're more than welcome to kind of find a place to relax and sit and get comfortable and really dive into this. If you're not in a space you can do this, you can definitely come back to this as a recording. Guided meditations are such a useful tool to tap into your subconscious mind and to connect with spirit and to get access to information that is not something that we tend to do when we're in our conscious state. I've had so many wonderful realizations and intuitive hits doing guided meditations, and it's just something that I love. So we're going to be doing one about looking at things that maybe we need to release, and things that we can let go of, or that maybe are no longer in alignment with who we are as we progress forward. So please feel free to get comfortable here, and we'll get started on this. All right. Make yourself comfortable and close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath and let go of any tension in your body. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. And as you feel yourself sinking into the surface you're resting on, you become more still and comfortable and relaxed. Take a deep breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth. One more deep breath in. And out. Feeling yourself settling into your body, more relaxed and more comfortable. Bring your awareness into your spiritual heart center, or heart chakra, the space that is in the center of your chest, and notice a softness there. Your heart is the ideal place to tap into higher guidance and find peace, stillness, and deep connection within. Imagine all of the energy you've sent out into the world lately coming gently back home to your heart, helping you to feel more whole and more complete. Quietly receive this energy and know there's nothing else you need to do right now. You can simply be here, relax, and receive as all of your energy returns to your heart space. Now, imagine you're standing in the center of your heart, as if it were a big, comfortable room. As your eyes begin to adjust to the light, the first thing you notice is what appears to be a doorway. Moving toward it, you see that it is in fact a door, and that light seems to be shining from behind it, blowing out from underneath. Something is waiting for you beyond that door. Something that holds the keys to questions you've been having about your life recently. Step forward, open the door, and walk through. And as you do this, you immediately find yourself at the base of a beautiful mountain on a warm, sunny day. The air is soft and sweet with the scent of wildflowers, and patchy white clouds in the sky above provide just the right amount of shade. This mountain before you is old and wise, and seems to have its own unique personality, a character you resonate with, as if the two of you were somehow connected. There is a spiritual power at this mountain, with secrets to share, if you're willing to listen. Perhaps that's what's drawn you here. You've come to ask about your life. What is it within you that needs to change in order to open to the true fulfillment you long for? The answers are waiting for you. And as you begin to make your way up the mountainside, you feel an initial sense of enthusiasm, almost euphoria at setting out on this adventure, leaving the flat land behind. The mountain has already revealed its first secret. Simply by changing your routine and embarking on something new, you can break out of stagnation and bring new energy to your life. As you continue to climb, you settle into a rhythm, and the journey becomes more normal. So to stay interested, you begin to pay closer attention to the plants and rocks that surround you. At first, it all seems the same, but as you look closer, you find a fascinating world of texture, color, shape, and beauty. Every plant, rock, and crevice seems to have its own story to tell, if you're willing to give it your focus. And so the second secret of the mountain is revealed. By paying closer attention to your surroundings, by being more fully engaged, your world opens and expands. Climbing further up the mountain, you begin to tire. It's hard work making your way up the mountainside, so you find a place to sit and rest for a moment and have a drink from your water supply. Looking up at the peak, you realize it's still quite a way to go, and begin to wonder if it's really worth the effort. There's no way to know for certain. You're tired and it could all be a waste of time. Then you remember why you came here. You're in need of a change, and the mountain has secrets to share. If you quit now, you'll never find out what they are. By connecting to your purpose, you suddenly feel your energy restored. The time you took to rest and connect inside seems to have made all the difference. So, with renewed enthusiasm and a sense of commitment, you continue on. Reaching the peak brings you a sense of pride and satisfaction. You've put forth the effort, stepped outside your routine, and done something to help break free. Taking in the incredible view stretching out before you, you feel indescribably light, set free of your habitual patterns. And so you begin to use this rare occasion of having stepped out of your routine to take stock of your life. And from your higher perspective, consider what needs to change. Take a moment for this now. Imagine you're looking at one scene from your current life from this high vantage point. Notice what you're doing, the people around you, if any, and the circumstances. As you watch yourself, consider these questions. Do I seem to be in the process of fulfilling myself? What would I prefer to be doing that I have been afraid to try? What fears are holding me back? What kinds of support would I need to help me to take a new step forward? Where could I find that support, and how could I bring it in? Am I willing to take a risk, trust myself, the universe, and the world around me for my greater happiness and fulfillment? Now envision yourself taking your next step toward fulfillment, doing the next thing you'd need to do. And notice the sense of satisfaction and freedom you feel having done just a small amount. Imagine how you'd feel after stepping forward a little more and a little more. Take a moment to make a commitment to yourself right now to take your next step and the next until you've reached a new level of fulfillment. And as you set forth on your path, chances are you will meet obstacles that seem to stand between you and your goal. Obstacles are there to test your resolve and make you stronger so you'll be better able to appreciate and enjoy the rewards. The question is, what will you do when obstacles appear? Envision yourself moving forward along your path, taking steps towards your goal and facing an obstacle, one that may at first seem insurmountable. Notice your initial reaction. When faced with a sudden challenge, it's not uncommon to experience anger, frustration, disappointment, self-doubt, or confusion. Many people would simply give up. But true fulfillment is worth fighting for. And imagine yourself pulling together all of your resources, both inner and outer, redoubling your effort and moving beyond the obstacle. See, hear, and feel yourself doing that now. And right now, give yourself permission from the deepest place within to make the changes that are necessary to take the steps you need towards your true fulfillment. And ask that you be provided the strength and the courage necessary to follow through. Take a moment to do this now with full conviction. This is what it takes to change and break free. Become clear about your direction, move past your fears, and persevere beyond obstacles. Your fulfillment is in front of you, waiting for you to take your next step. Don't wait any longer. Do it now. It's almost time to bring this inner journey to a close. But first, ask for a sphere of light to be placed all around you and this experience, so that all the positive benefits will stay with you and anything that you've released can be left behind. Now gradually bring your awareness gently back to your physical surroundings. Take your time. Come back into your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes and feel awake, alert, and refreshed. All right, everybody, welcome back. When you have a moment, I would highly recommend that you sit down and take some time to journal anything that you may have seen or experienced, or any insights that you may have received during your guided meditation. It's going to be deeply personal to you, and it's always a good thing to reflect upon later on. I can't hear you.
I'm on mute. I said, just remember that there is space in the workbook to do that piece. So if you haven't downloaded it, go ahead and do that, and really keep it so you can access that information over time as you need to reflect on kind of the ins and outs of the, the cycles that we are going through with the moons. I am going to bring up the journal questions here. Sorry, my computer. All right, and these are the 4 that we came up with, and we're going to take a moment and really go through them as a group and discuss them together. That way, you can have some insight and own, reflection into what we're thinking about. Usually, when we're doing it as a group, it allows us to kind of see what others are going through, which can help you look into your own lives and see how it's affecting you. So just use this time as a way to kind of grow and think about the own ideas and responses that you have. And these are available in the workbook. So I would highly recommend that you join us in doing it. It's a great chance to do the work here. So the first one we have here is, how can I create a harmonious really connection between my work and personal life, and what are the changes that we really need to make in order to make that happen? And so I'm going to drop back over here to the group. And how are you guys feeling as far as creating that balance within your life between your personal and your work environment? I know, Melissa, that was something that came up with the card reading too, is your success in it.
For me, I think it can be difficult, but mainly because I really enjoy what I do. So when my work bleeds into my evenings or my weekends, I don't find myself feeling unbalanced because of it. So that's where that can be a bad thing, maybe not really having that internal guide letting me know that maybe I'm spending too much focus on work, where maybe it could be with home as well. And what I have done, the steps I have taken to allow for more balance, and I think not allowing work to overtake me, because I know it's something that doesn't necessarily bother me, is one, it's recognizing or believing that not everything needs my immediate attention. And that's a huge, and for me, it all stems from there. I could say, not looking at emails past, a certain time, but I don't know about you all, but for me, that's not the reality. It's on my phone. I'm on there. I'm going to I do a quick check of my 3 email accounts, which that in itself is probably excessive. But the piece that I've learned to do is to not respond. I can see it. It can be an upsetting email from a parent that can jolt me, but I'm able to now put it in its place and not let it ruin my evening because I chose to open and look at it. And no longer do I feel the need to respond, even though I know I can, I don't. For a lot of reasons. One is for my own sanity. One is when we do that, then the person on the other end is expecting that from me, and I don't want to set that expectation. So for me, that's, I think, the biggest piece is I can look, but I don't have to respond to it all right now. And then what am I going to do? What's my internal message going to be to help me keep that separation still with it?
I like that. I mean, that disconnection from, like our tools that we use, like the, the internet is so important. And I actually work with Melissa, and I'm doing a very focused work on creating more of an intentional space for some of the spiritual work that I do. And I find myself, I do things very naturally, but I want to be better about recording and making space for myself. And so that's something that we have worked on. And part of that is just enjoying things like reading, right? I love to read, and I used to read a lot. And for some reason, that space is not available in my life right now. And I feel, we talked about it, and I ended up making the switch to reading physical books and getting rid of really trying to read more from the physical books versus like the digital books when I can, because I have a tendency to get distracted, and, figuring out what is distracting you from really the pieces that are about, should be balanced in your life, I think is key there.
I could probably talk a lot about this, so I'm going to try and keep it short. But when I many years ago, because I had my own business for a long time, and I was really, after having worked for other people for so long, I really sat down and I looked at what I wanted my ideal schedule to look like, and how many hours I wanted to work, and how much money I wanted to make in that time to feel comfortable. And luckily, I somehow, manifested that, and it was really great. And so I loved my work and I loved being there. The only thing is that it was because, as you said, Melissa, I loved it so much. It was really easy to tack on an extra hour here or an extra day here to get people in that needed help, or, clients that I really enjoyed being with, or, and so I think that having really strong boundaries and not feeling guilty about telling people no, and also telling your family no sometimes, or your other responsibilities, is really important. And that's something that now I work on with other people, because a lot of where the conflict comes in is that we have certain ideas about how we have to do more in order to be more valuable, and how we have to overextend ourselves in this glorification of being busy or being highly desirable as, a healing practitioner or whatever work you're in, you don't want to turn away business, because there is sometimes in people that lack mentality that goes into, well, if I don't take the work while it's here, I might not have it later. And so a lot of it is shifting kind of your own inner dialogue and your inner belief system, and recognizing that you don't have to do more, and you don't have to overextend yourself in order to be considered successful. And that creates better balance as well. If if you've been paying attention to what we've been doing here, or me, I did a whole overhaul of my life a year ago, and I closed my business, and I've kind of like taken a good amount of time to not do a whole lot of work, which has in itself been really difficult in a different way, because it removes a lot of the things and distractions from having to focus on your other parts of your life that it's easy to neglect when you are so busy with your career, your profession. So it's been an interesting I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. We're going to keep this short and sweet.
All right. Let's look at question 2. And the question 2 looks at really, are you on the path that resonates with you? Resonates with your values and your beliefs. And if you are not in alignment, how do you kind of bring that back to your core principles in life? And I want to point out with this question, though, that people, we three are working in more of the spiritual fields. And so don't feel like if you are working more in, like as a nurse or a teacher or, whatever other profession that you're in, that you're not connected to that path that you're supposed to be on. It doesn't have to be necessarily a spiritual path. So don't feel like you're lacking in any way if your path looks very different from ours. So just be aware of that when you're looking at it. For me, I do feel like I'm working towards my path. I feel like it's ever changing, and I need to consciously be aware of the messages and some of the signs that are being sent to me on where I should maybe pursue and go as it's going along my life. And so that's where I tend to focus on here, is that um, I think where I'm at currently, I feel like I am following my deepest, core values here, but it's ever changing. And so I'm just always conscious of, that piece that I'm looking to. I'm really always checking in with myself to really make sure that what I'm working on, what I'm doing is really where I'm supposed to be at, and less focused on, we can have this end goal. And I always, and I'm very much like that. I like to have an end goal, a plan. I like that sort of situation. But I also have to have the ability to let it be an open-ended and not be disappointed if things go down a different path from where they currently are. How about you, Melissa?
Yes, I am. But it's been a lot of work and a long journey. And what really, it brings me back to 20 years ago, actually. So when I got my degree in psychology, and I remember loved studying psychology and everything about it, my internships, and then the work the work wasn't what I studied. There was a lot of shifts in the mental health field at that time, and it was very confusing time. I'm like, I don't understand. So I did a lot of reflection on, okay, if I'm going to make a career change, I don't want to be in this position again. How could I have gotten it so wrong the first time around in my mind? And so it was a lot of, okay, what do I value? What do I like? What environments do I want to be in? And at that point, informational interviewing, talking to other people. And I shifted into higher education at that time. Education was important to me, and I've been in that field as well for since then, over 20 years, and have had the opportunity to just really shift in different areas of it. And I love that part. So it's not an overnight, or for me, it wasn't something I just fell into. And then as I've shared those other pieces, I've been able to incorporate. But it's I think like you said, Kendall, as well, what do I value? If I can find work in what's of value to me, that will help resonate and I think allow us to go on our path.
Yeah. I kind of learned very early on in my working years that if something didn't feel aligned and it's something that didn't kind of make me excited or light me up, that it was going to be a huge energy drain on me. And I would feel like I was hitting brick walls all the time. Um, and I know like a lot of people start to feel burnout in areas and they feel like they need to push through that and like get to the other side and like work harder and just keep going. And I think that there can be some value in that, but I also really believe that when you start to really struggle in a position that you're in, it can be very easy to get stuck in like the security of something or the familiarity of something, when really all of that uncomfortableness is the universe and your own self's way of trying to tell you that it's time to make some changes, or that there's a new opportunity opening up, or a new direction that you need to go in. um, there were times in my life when I worked for other people because I needed that financial aspect immediately. Um, and it was also like the hardest work to do for me. So I think that being able to kind of like now, and I've been on my own path for a while now, kind of doing, but it's so important, I think, to pay attention to how you feel in the work that you're doing. And if it's not lining up in the way that you want, it doesn't mean you have to abandon your entire career path. There just may be a different avenue that is more compatible for you. It could be at a different location, or it could be, as you said, you moved into education instead of this other thing. And it's because that felt more aligned. And it's really probably more the work that you were meant to do, instead of forcing yourself to stay in something that you didn't like.
All right. So question 3 is really about letting go of joyless obligations. And really, how can you release or transform the tasks and commitments that you once believed were necessary but no longer bring you happiness? I feel
I
like
would just say,
no,
first
go.
thing to look at is it really necessary, or is it something, it, like you said, is it an obligation, or something that is someone else is making you feel obligated towards, or a societal thing. Because I think a lot of what we get stuck doing is not even necessarily something we need to do. So I would just pay attention to that. Um,
How
I'm
about you, Melissa? I feel like you probably have some tools for this.
That's almost tricky for me because for me, I don't necessarily view obligations as a bad thing, right? For me, I have this inner sense of just what we do for others. But again, it comes from my sense of values, right? So I think that what AB said, yes, you have to really be tricky. I have your mindset. What is it? Is it something that I'm doing because I feel like if I don't, someone's not going to like me? Which is completely different than, okay, I have this family obligation that maybe isn't the most, thrilling activity for me, but I know being able to provide that support is
Mhm.
going to be important. And right when at the end of the day, I want to be able to provide that. So I kind of separate it, I think, into those two different categories,
Yes.
and just ensuring that if the obligation is in alignment with what my values are and what is my mindset going into it, am I expecting something in return? Then there's probably going to be not the best outcome for me. And if I'm doing it with the intention of wanting to be of help, and then that's going to be my own, not reward, but that's going to be, I think, my internal compass is not making it feel as much as an obligation for it.
I talk a lot about, and I have a free little course that talks about, intuitive choices. And I don't really, just like you, I believe that you can make choices that are not necessarily like, or more on the obligation side of life, right? But you have the ability to make that conscious choice, and you know that it isn't aligned because you're helping, somebody who is your family or friend or the community, that you don't necessarily feel super pulled to do, but there is this underlying gift that you're able to bring. And I think that's important. But it's with that, I'm very conscious of what choice I'm making, if it's something that I really want to do, or if it's something that I don't really want to do. And if I still feel compelled, I really like to look at, why I'm making those choices. And because we can often be led down certain rabbit holes with people who use, guilt, or, they prey upon like your ego in order to get you to do things in your life that we're not really wanting to do. And so it's just about, for me, it's about taking a step back and really looking at choices. If I feel like my life is overflowing with things to do, that I really need to take a step back and go, okay, if I'm feeling stressed out because I have too much to do, what are the obligations that are really not calling to me? Where are the pieces that I have just kind of cornered myself into, and I realized I have signed up for something that is not really benefiting me? And we have a tendency to do that. At least I do. I find myself doing that all the time. Making commitments, even if it's like self commitments to do things that I don't really connect to. And so it's just being aware of those. And so I would, for me, during this journal time, I'll write down the commitments that seem to be filling my time, and seeing where, um, where I can kind of remove some from them and not feel that I really need to feel bad about removing those commitments. So. All right. Question 4. What strategies can be implemented to prioritize your well being and really include that self care routine?
What came to mind for me is to start off small. I think
Ah,
that's really important because I can get very excited about all of these health and wellness, and what am I going to do for myself? And that in itself can become overwhelming. And if I don't um, engage in one of them or something, right, I'll then can use that as all or nothing thinking. So it's start off with some of the small things that you can actually incorporate into your routine. And then from there, I like to create for myself like a wellness vision, right? So what will I gain from all this? What is my intended outcome of how this is going to really be beneficial? So if it's incorporating healthier eating, physical activity, what am I, right? So going back to when I was engaged in those activities, how that made me feel, and tapping into that positivity. And the importance of, if I don't carve out that time for myself, what happens, right? So if I'm saying yes, and this goes back, I think, to the other question of obligations, which I may have answered a little too hastily, because all this information is coming to me from what Kendall and Amy shared, was that if I'm saying yes to too much, where am I actually saying no to without realizing it? And then it becomes a negative energy or a drain. So it's not beating myself up for not following through on a daily basis if it doesn't occur, but really setting the intention and seeing what the small things I can build upon into creating bigger routines.
Yes. I definitely think that's the work that you've been helping me with, because I have a tendency to be an all or nothing. So if I, and I hate the word fail, but that's how I think of it, is if I fail at doing something that I want to set into motion in my life because of other obligations, and it has a tendency to be my self-care piece, is what I let be overtaken by other obligations. And so, if I don't do something and I don't implement it because other things have come up in that space and time, then I automatically just go, well, no, I can't do it. And when I've been working with you, that's what the interesting part is how do you get past that piece and that ability just to have grace for yourself when you're doing self-care, I think needs to be there.
And I think it's important to kind of evaluate what you consider self-care to be. For some people, it's that they really need to connect with friends and like have that friend night, where they get together for dinner or an activity for something like once a week or once a month. And that's really important to them. Some people, it's getting their weekly or monthly massage. And I had a lot of clients who would make that their priority. For me, and this was something that I had a really hard time giving myself space for, is that I really need a day to not have anything that I have to do. And ideally, and it never happens because, I'm a mom and, I have a family and stuff, but ideally a day where not only do I not have anything scheduled that I have to do or take care of, but I don't have to be around anybody. And so when I created my work schedule and I knew that that was something important for me, I took an extra day off. Worked a little extra on the days that I worked and took extra day off. So I would at least have a chunk of time that was just solely mine. And that made a huge difference in my world. But it's hard to give yourself that kind of permission when you have other people who are depending on you, or you feel like you should be making money that day, or you should be grocery shopping, or the other thing that is super important to me is to have something to look forward to. And for me, a lot of times that's like a trip or somewhere to travel or, some event that I have planned in advance so that I don't feel like all the days are running together and I'm not,
Yeah.
don't have anything like on the books that I can like say, this is something I'm really going to enjoy. Those are my pieces. I mean, I know like a lot of people like, well, self-care, like make sure you're going to the gym and make sure you're eating right. But when I was trying to implement those things, it felt like another thing on my to-do list that just stressed me out. And I feel like a lot of my well-being had to come from not holding myself to those sorts of things first, so that when I did feel like I was in a place where I was rested enough and had taken care of my own interior, that I could do those exterior things and enjoy them instead of feeling like it was just another to-do list.
I think that's an important part is that self-care can be defined by you and that it's not just one specific thing. It's not that you're going to go get facials or whatever it is, go to the gym, eat right. It can be anything that you place in your life that really gives you space and time to center yourself, and it doesn't have to be something that's more spiritual or holistic. It can be very simple, and so making sure that whatever you're doing to create space in your time connects with you versus connecting with what other people think. And that was something that came up with Melissa and I, was that I had a very kind of grandiose envisioning what it would be like for this time for myself. And it doesn't have to be that. And we need to just figure out what works in our current reality for us, and not dwell on what other people think.
Yeah, don't let anyone else. When you are especially like the caregiver in your family, or someone that someone really depends on, the first initial reaction that you're going to get when you start taking time for yourself or implementing your own self-care is, you're so selfish. You only think of yourself. You're not thinking about my needs. And it's because you've created an imbalance where you have been putting everybody else's needs first. And so when you kind of start taking some of that back for yourself, it can be really hard. But don't listen to that, because you're just as deserving, and probably even more so, to have that time to care and nurture your own well-being first, so that you have the capacity to be more when you are helping others.
I think that's a great point. Yeah. Do we have anything else before I just talk briefly about the activity that we have for this full moon? No? I wanted to really connect to the earth energy, to do something that's connected to that earth energy as well as that Cancer energy. So it's that balance between the two sides, that water energy and the earth energy, your feelings and your intuition versus the material world. And so, an example of that, um, I really thought is creating just something simple with clay, like a clay mask. So taking some, you know, clay that you can purchase at the store. If there's something, naturally that you can find in your environment to use, and you simply take that and mix it with water, and in that act you want to go through the releasing. So think about the things that you want to release, think about the commitments that you want to let go of, think about all those pieces that we have been really talking about, and use this time to sit quietly. And you can go through the process of just simply mixing the earth and water together, or you can go in and actually do it, do like a bath or, face masks, and really wipe away as you're thinking about releasing those pieces. And I'll do a little bit, there will be a journal article available for you. So you can look, if you want to get a little bit deeper into this and doing more of a ritual, then there'll be some information on doing it there. So that is it.
Cool. So I just want to thank everybody for being here with us. And I hope that this circle time has given you some insight into your own life and your own journey. And just really appreciate you coming together with us as we kind of bring everything together and really work with this moon energy. So we look forward to having you again. We'll go ahead and close out the circle now with how we started. So sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within, peace within, peace within. Hope that you all have a wonderful full moon.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.